With this workflow, you can take your big stack of business cards that's been sitting up in the corner of your desk, and now you can process it and put it all into your CRM, all with the power of AI. Simply upload your business card to a Google Drive, and the system will do the rest, pulling all the information off your card, matching it to the information in your Hubspot CRM or other CRM, and it uploads it all into the system and takes the card, puts it into a process folder, just moves on to the next card. All right, let's see how this workflow actually works in action. So let's come over to my Google Drive real quick. And I have a business card that I'm going to scan. This is just my business card. All right, and so what we're going to do, and to show you that it is actually working, here's my HubSpot account. I'll refresh the page. This is my contact card for my HubSpot account. You see all it has is my domain. It's because I uploaded it earlier. I deleted everything else. What we'll see is that it'll at least put the email in. It might catch a phone number because I don't know if you noticed, but like I kind of try to black out my phone number. It should include my title. So let us go ahead and run this now. Let's just go ahead and execute workflow. It's going to go ahead and process it. It's pulling the business card. It is going to resize the image. It's going to transcribe it. It's then going to pull out the pieces of information that we are looking for, which is pretty much anything related to all the items that we're looking for in HubSpot. And I'll show you that while we're going through it. It uploads any information to HubSpot, and then it takes the card and it puts it into another folder. So here you'll see that the folder is now empty. Come over here, it's in the already scanned, and it's actually that one right there. All right, so let's come over to HubSpot. We're going to refresh the page, and we shall see. All right, so it actually created a new contact. It didn't necessarily just update the one I had, and it's probably because this over here is set to create or update. It's set to update. That's interesting. Based on the email? Because the email wasn't in there. That's why. If my email had been in the contact I showed you, it hadn't been. So that's why I created the new contact. As always, you can get today's workflow by going to our free Skool community, where we keep all of our past workflows, training videos, tools, and templates. You can also join hundreds of AI enthusiasts all looking to grow their businesses with AI-powered automations. And make sure to join us in our Advanced community, where we have over 20 hours of additional AI and n8n training courses to help you learn how to ride this AI wave, as well as a group of committed AI-focused business owners, all looking to help each other grow and scale. All right, and let's show you how this works in practice. It's actually a fairly simple agent compared to some of the other ones I put out, but we start with a Google Drive trigger. So what we're doing is we're polling every minute, searching for changes in a specific folder. In this case, I have a folder called Cards to Scan in a folder called Business Card Uploader. And it's looking for a file created. So anytime I put a new business card image in there, whether it's a scan or otherwise, preferably it's a JPEG or PNG, something that's an actual image. And then we'll pull that every single time you put a new image in there. Now, in order to get your Google Drive set up, you need to connect your credentials. I will put a link in the description below on how to set up your Google API, your Google Cloud Console credentials. Okay, and what we're going to do from there is we run the information through a loop in order to process one image at a time. So it doesn't have to be just one card at a time. You can take of all these different images that you've got of your business card stack and stick them all into that folder. If you have the workflow active, it will then process them all. And so anytime that you put a new image into the folder, it will process that image. So that means you can put multiple images in at a time. And so that's what this loop here is for. It's in order to reduce down the batches. We're reducing down to batches of 5. So it's going to do 5 items at a time. It's going to do 5 downloads, 5 transcriptions, 5 uploads, and then do the next set of 5. And that's just to avoid any rate limits. We kind of slow down the process a little bit. Don't make it go super, super fast and try to do all of them at once. I'm going to run that through the loop just over and over again. So our business cards will then come to this Google Drive download node. All right, so it's just a Google Drive account. Your resource is file, operation is download. We're identifying the file by file ID, which we're pulling from the Google Drive trigger. And so, I don't know why it doesn't see the information. Now, it's not seeing the information because it's in a loop. So it's having a hard time identifying it. But we can actually see the info that's coming in on item 1 here through the loop. So if we just scroll on down to way down here, here's the ID. So if you want to build it yourself, you just grab the ID, drag it over, and we're downloading it. It's going to give us a binary file named data. That binary file is then going to come through this resize images node. It's actually an edit image node that we're using a resize operation in. And so the property name that we're pulling from is data, so it matches there. All right, we're going to do a 40% width and height. That should be enough to reduce it down to give us a small enough file size to actually be workable, not create too many tokens. And so you see over here, this is 6.16 megabytes to start. That's a fairly big image to have to be processing through an AI. Instead, we reduce it down. It comes out as 520 kilobytes. You can probably reduce it further depending on the size of the images that you're taking. If you're taking it with your phone camera, your images are probably a little bit bigger. If you're doing like a scanner, they might be smaller. It depends on, again, the resolution that you're taking the photo at. But we're reducing it regardless in order to be able to save on the tokens. The image then comes through this transcription model here. This is a basic LLM chain. And what it does is we're simply asking it to transcribe the document to Markdown. We give it a system message here that just simply says it's an expert document transcription agent specialized in converting images to Markdown with maximum accuracy and detail. So its instructions are to transcribe what it sees, to preserve the text styling, capture all any lists or numbers or checklists or anything that's in there in correct Markdown format, to transcribe any extra marginal notes you might have written on it, if there's any extra, like sticky notes in the picture or anything else that's in text anywhere on the picture, it's going to try to grab. And so if you have extra notes for that card, you can set it when you take the picture. All right, it's going to label any headers or footers as header or footer if it sees them. It's going to convert any extra tables it might see. I mean, the business cards we see aren't always in order, right? They don't always look the same. So it's got to try to find the images or the text from wherever it needs to. And so just convert everything, merge everything, stack it all. This is kind of just a general transcription agent set of instructions, just in case there's something there that you need to include otherwise. So it's got tables, it's got charts and graphs, images and visuals. If it sees any pictures, it needs to describe those in detail, including any objects, settings, or context, include any visible captions or labels, and transcribe any embedded text within pictures. And so sometimes their logo might say something as well. It pulls that too. All right. If there's any diagrams, flowcharts, infographics, anything like that, I was trying to, what else might possibly be on a business card to throw it in here into these instructions. Include any watermarks, page numbers, transcribe any metadata it has, note any orientation or rotation of the text, flag anything else. And then we give it some what not to do's. No paraphrasing or summarizing the text. It needs to just transcribe it exactly as seen. Do not omit any small print, footnotes, annotations, or watermarks. No ignoring handwritten notes or embedded text and all that. And no skipping any non-text visuals. All right. And we're also going to give it this information down here that we're pulling the type name or ID of user. So we're sending the user information, which would be this part here, additional user. But we're attaching the image, which is a binary. It's called data. And image details we have set to auto. And the model that we're using down here is OpenAI's just 4.0 Mini. The 4.0 Mini is a vision model. It's able to read it. If you would like a higher end model, I mean, go for it. 4.0 Mini. Super inexpensive. It's pretty good. It's not necessarily going to get too many things wrong. I've had almost no issues with using my vision models using 4.0 Mini. That's all I'm trying to say. Personally, I wouldn't go any higher unless you have lots and lots and lots of text. But we're talking about business cards, so most likely you're not going to have to deal with that. But I use OpenAI. If you need to hook up your OpenAI credentials, I will include a link in the description below on how to set up your OpenAI API to be able to use this. All right, and again, all that information, all that transcribed text is then going to be passed over to this information extractor node. And this is just, we have an input of the text from the agent before, it's JSON.text. We're going to have a schema type of attributes. And then we just kind of list our attributes. I got contact first name, contact name, office phone number, personal phone number, email, company address, contact last name, company website, title, job function. You can always add more. If I come over here to our Hubspot node real quick before I try to explain it, you have all these properties here, and you'll notice that the properties I have already added are the ones that I was including in the text extractor. But you can add additional properties, and if you have another CRM, you most likely have all these other properties as well for your software that you're using. But I mean, you can add all these other things. I don't know if they necessarily make sense for a business card, like marital status, unless that's what they're presenting. You're probably not going to get it from their card. I think postal code you might be able to get. You're probably not seeing relationship status or school or seniority, maybe seniority. state or region, maybe. It's up to you. You can include additional fields if you want, how much data or what do you expect to see on their business cards. I tried to grab the basic stuff here, name, company, job, function, number, email, that sort of thing. All right. And then, yeah, it grabs the email as well. All right. And so all that information is going to be pulled out from the text extractor here. I don't have any extra system prompts or anything like that, just using a basic node within n8n. And then we take all that information and we send it over to Hubspot. Again, if you have another CRM, do check if they have that available here in n8n. So I don't know if I just type in CRM. Yeah, we got all kinds of different CRMs already listed in here. So if yours is in here, that's awesome. If not, there's a good chance you can probably set up an HTTP node to be able to do an API call to your service, but that's kind of beyond the scope of this particular video. So I've got Hubspot here. Hubspot does have free accounts. So if you are getting started and you don't yet have a CRM, you can use Hubspot. I will put a link in the description below on how to set up the Hubspot app in order to be able to connect to n8n. But it's a pretty simple process. And you just set up your credentials that way. My resource is set to contact. Operation is create or update. And it's going to be updating off of the email. And so at the beginning of the video, I mentioned, oh, it should update my contact here. Well, it didn't because I didn't have my email included. And so it sees that as a new contact because they're technically different emails. And so just be aware of that. If you have somebody's card and they have multiple cards, with multiple different businesses, then you might have an issue of it creating multiple contacts. So be aware. All right. All that information that it's able to pull from the extractor, it's going to come over here and put it in where it can. So it did not find a company name for myself, which is, it wouldn't, my business card doesn't have that. My job function, it did not include, but it does have my job title. So it doesn't, there is no job function on my card. It doesn't say, what exactly do I do at the company? I do have a list of titles, so consultant, influencer, author, speaker, evangelist, coach, entrepreneur. Those are all on my card. That's right. It thankfully did not grab my phone number, which is the one I tried to black out. But you will notice it tried to grab my phone number, even though it was already blacked out. These models are so good that they can pick up even just raised text and a little bit of shadow. Be aware of that. But it has all this information, and then it passed it on to Hubspot. The business card then gets passed over to this Google Drive node. It's going to, same credentials for Google Drive. Resource is file. Operation is move. And we're going to be moving the image, the business card image that we operated off of, and we're going to be moving it to a folder called already scanned. So you're going to want to set up a folder that's like this. You have a top level, just business card uploader, or whatever folder you want to put it in. You have a file in here, a folder called cards to scan. This is where you're going to put the images. And you have a folder called already scanned. If you set it up this way, you won't have any extra setup to do within the agent itself. And that's it. Everything else will pass through. And then once it's all done, it'll just end the operation. So if you found this video helpful, please make sure to subscribe to the channel, like and share the video because it really does help get this information out there. Also, if you would like to get a copy of today's workflow, just click the link in the description below in order to go to my free school community. I have that workflow available as well as a ton of others, from social media posting bots to lead scrapers to executive assistants. I have all kinds of additional n8n tutorials and classes and all kinds of cool stuff for you, all for free in the free school community. Again, link is in the description below. As always, I'm Bradford Carlton. Let's automate your success together.